You're listening to the Built in Barcelona podcast with Kris. Welcome back to Built in Barcelona, the podcast where we sit down with the founders, creators, and builders shaping what's happening in this city. I'm Kris Rawcliffe, and today I'm joined by Dylan Pieterse. Dylan's story is a little different, from playing professional rugby in South Africa, Australia, the US, and Romania, to moving to Barcelona to start building Sculptify, a new wellness app based right here in the city. We're going to get into what it's like switching from sports to startups, why Barcelona's fitness culture makes it the perfect place to build a wellness business, and how he's using tech and AI to help people live healthier lives. Let's get into it. Dylan, welcome to the podcast.
Kris, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining, and also thank you for your flexibility. For the listeners, we were actually due to record this session last week, but we got somewhat derailed by the nationwide power outage, which was a little bit nuts. How was that for you?
In a way, it was also very familiar for me. Coming from South Africa, we're quite used to having blackouts as well, or not blackouts, but something called load shedding. So that's where you can get power outages in your area for 4 to 8 hours a day. So you kind of have to learn to maneuver that.
Wow.
When it happened, I was like, oh, feels like I'm back home for a little bit as well, you know. And then I had my fiance, she was panicking. She's like, there's no power. What are we supposed to do? And I said, no, it's fine. It'll come back eventually, or we'll just, make some bread and some toast for lunch and dinner, and then, it'll come back. So luckily it came back, and we made it through.
How long were you without power?
I think it went out at about 12, I want to say, and then came back 6:30 in the evening.
Okay. Yeah,
so
not
it wasn't
too
bad.
Yeah, some
And
people
yourself?
were without it for significantly longer. But yeah, it's interesting that you were saying sort of you had quite a chilled approach to it, because I've seen so many memes since of people comparing how people react in like the UK or the US to power outages, everyone going crazy. And then in Spain, it was just like everyone just dancing in the sunny plazas.
Everyone having beers. It was great.
People trying to drink the beers before they go warm.
That's fair. You have to. You can't waste a cold beer.
I was quite lucky. I worked from an office that had sort of a backup generator, so I was able to keep working by and large. But the thing that it struck me a little bit was I was very confronted with the fact that if that was to last for a significant amount of time, like being completely cut off from friends and family back home was quite scary.
I think it's quite a big thing as well, not being able to at least just say, look, I can't get through to you, or I won't be able to speak to you for 2 hours or 3 hours. It panics quite a couple of people in the situation as well.
Well, that was the thing. I just immediately felt very far from home. And because, if that happened while you're living on the same bit of land, then you could walk home. It would take a long time, but you could get there. Whereas, there's no way I'm going to be able to swim to the UK.
So. No, not now as well. The weather's not helping you either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, now we've got power again, and I've just completely forgotten about those worries. So we're back to normal.
What power outage?
Great. So yes, thank you for joining the podcast, and again for your flexibility. For those who don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and what brought you to Barcelona?
So, like I said, I am from South Africa. I've lived in South Africa for about 19 years, and then I was very lucky to be able to leave and go and play rugby in Australia. I was a professional rugby player for 11 years. I was very lucky to be able to travel the world, play rugby all over. I got to play in Australia, America, Romania, and obviously South Africa. So most recently I was in Romania. That's where I'm very lucky to have met my fiance, and then we decided to move here.
Cool. Okay, so you decided to move here for lifestyle reasons.
Yeah, I mean, we were in Romania, and frankly, the weather is terrible in the winter because there's just like inches and inches of snow as well. So that wasn't good for us. We enjoyed being by the beach, being warm all the time, and now look at what Barcelona is giving us, this weather. So yeah, the lifestyle, I didn't realize it was this active in this grade, to be honest, before I even moved here. I was just expecting a nice European beach city. What we are now used to is something I don't think we'll find in very many places.
Yeah, I can relate with that. I didn't know much about Barcelona before I moved,
Yeah,
other than the fact that so many people, like anytime I mentioned Barcelona to anybody, they were like, "Oh, it's my favorite city or one of my favorite cities." And
yeah,
so, I was like, "Well, it can't be that bad if if everybody seems to love it."
yeah,
But it even superseded my expectations off the back of that massively when I first
yeah.
moved here.
Agreed.
What was it like playing rugby all over the world? That must have been really exciting.
It's very exciting, but also very cutthroat. You have to live, unfortunately, contract by contract, so you don't really know. Sometimes you'll get a 1 year contract and you think you're doing really well and you don't get another contract, and then you're kind of scrambling to find another job so that you can survive. But the one thing I will say is transitioning from one team to another is always really easy because the team that you're with, or generally you go in, the team is very nice and welcoming. So you never, felt like you're alone or anything. So that's one thing I've always loved about rugby is whenever I get to travel, I meet new people and I can make friends pretty quickly with whoever's in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's an extremely social sport, right?
exactly, exactly. I mean, we pretty much, like we say, we're alcoholics with a rugby, uh, hobby. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And where of the places that you've played, where was your favorite?
oh, I mean, Australia was really nice. It was kind of like a different version of South Africa for me, which was really great. The people and the culture was very similar to South Africa. A lot of friendly people, sociable people, so they enjoyed, finishing work and all going and grabbing a beer or having a barbecue or something like that. So everyone just liked to be friendly and social, which was really nice. The States was quite different. Um, very clicky, I would say, especially rugby wise. So it's also very up and coming there. So not everyone wanted to think, okay, well, let's, get the culture here. So definitely Australia would be my top one.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they have a huge rugby culture as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's massive there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you, since moving to Barcelona, have you been involved at all with the rugby scene here? Have you noticed anything regarding that?
I have gone to actually a couple of trainings. I think it was last year, and then I wanted to play, and I was still waiting a bit for my residence permit to come in. And unfortunately, it just came in too late, and the season was about to finish. And I think I was going to only play 2 games. So I thought, okay, let's just wait. And then I focused a bit more on my personal training, which I'm still doing. And then I just kind of fully focused on and moved into my personal training.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that was going to be for Barca's rugby club, right?
So I think it was FC Barcelona Rugby. Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually, I mean, it's quite surprising. There is like a bit of a following for rugby here in Catalonia
Yeah.
and in pockets in Spain, like I think in different areas like Valladolid and Burgos, Cantabria, there's like
Mhm.
little pockets of rugby fandom. And I actually did a bit of research before this conversation, and there's like 57 registered rugby clubs in Catalonia
Wow.
alone, which
Wow.
was quite surprising because obviously it's a city, well, particularly Barcelona is a city that's famous for football, but not so much associated with rugby. And there is actually like a little undercurrent of support and interest here, which I
Hmm.
found quite
For sure
interesting.
there is. Yeah.
And then actually, when we were chatting before we started recording, you mentioned that you had seen that Camp Nou had made a bid for hosting the Rugby World Cup
Yes.
final in 2035,
Yeah.
which would be really cool.
I think it'd be very cool. I mean, if you saw, I think this past weekend there was sevens, and it was in Los Angeles, I want to say, and Spain lost in the final to South Africa.
Really?
So it's probably one of the better growing sports in Spain, I'd say, especially sevens, because they've won a couple of the sevens tournaments recently. So it's definitely growing here. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And so obviously you've left your rugby career behind for now, and now you're
Yep.
focusing on something completely different. So, mentioned at the top of the podcast that you're building a company called Sculptify.
Yep.
Tell us what that's all about.
So Sculptify is a wellness app. Um, what happened was I'm a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for about 5 years. We like to say Sculptify is your personal trainer in your pocket. So it's got meal plans or customized meal plans and set calories for you for whatever your goal is going to be. So for someone that wants to run a High Rocks or something like that, there is a specific High Rocks program on there for running, how much calories you should eat if you want to lose weight or even bulk up while you're doing a High Rocks. Everything on the app is there and it's customized to what you want.
And where did the idea come from? Like, what was there? Was there a particular spark for the beginning of this adventure?
To be honest, I was personal training, and one of my clients that I was training had said that he was working on not the same kind of thing, but a different app with one of his friends. And he said, we should look at building an app as well. And I said, well, would you be able to do that? And he said, 100% we could. We can use AI as well, something to kind of not make it easier, but something that makes it different as well. So like with Sculptify, you can take a picture of your meal and the AI will generate what protein, what carbs, what fats, everything, and what the total calories are of that meal. I use it pretty much every day, to be fair, just because I love taking a picture and seeing how accurate it is. And it's probably 95% accurate and like 10% over or 10% below. So you're still not crazy over or under your calories.
Yeah.
It's a really cool aspect to get people involved and then start using the app way more.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's a like a fitness tracker as well as kind of setting out like a fitness plan, but it also includes nutrition. Combining all of that together then was kind of important. I mean, why not focus on just one of those areas?
I feel that there is so many of those apps already. There is just you could go through the app store and find just a ton of gym apps. This is workout plans, and it's all very cookie cutter, generic. This is what it is. It's not designed for an individual. So this is what, say, even MyFitnessPal does as, okay, you want to gain weight, eat 4,000 calories. It doesn't say these are meals that you can eat. This is, okay, you only want to eat 3 meals a day. Here is meals for you. It just says eat 4,000 calories. That's what it is. Ours is, okay, 4,000 calories, but here's 4 meals or 3 meals, or you like to eat smaller meals. This it is. So it's customized for you and it's not cookie cutter anymore with us.
Okay. Oh, well, that's so it actually takes into consideration some of your personal aspects then around, as you say, like the amount of times that you like to eat, the type of things you like to eat, and then makes recommendations based on that. And have you launched yet? Are you already working with some customers?
So we're in beta at the moment. Still have some people, some companies using it, just, obviously testing it out. There will always be a couple of kinks right now at the end, which we're just ironing out. But the feedback and the reviews that we're getting is that it's a really beautiful designed app and it flows really well. There's just maybe one or two things that, just need that last little adjustment and it'll be ready to go.
Okay. And so these
Yeah.
are corporate clients that are then rolling out to their teams,
Yes.
and it's their teams that are using this on a daily basis.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And you're in beta. When are you planning to go full launch?
I would say about within a month or 2 months to really pushing it. So just, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, of course. I really am making sure everything is tip top 100%. And I want the users to be 100% happy and satisfied. And then we can obviously push it out from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're expecting that in a couple of months, you said?
I would say a month, 2 months tops would be
Okay.
where we are. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And are you sort of focusing the launch on Barcelona, on Spain, or are you going further afield than that?
At the moment, it's a bit of both. So we want Barcelona, I think, because it's such a massive tech hub here. So, everyone is looking to gain something for their employees, which I think Sculptify is the perfect thing. But then as well, heading to Dubai, the UK, anywhere across Europe, really, I think a lot of companies are trying to put their employees first and their well-being and benefits.
I know here in Barcelona, for example, that it's very trendy for startups to give access to applications like ClassPass or GymPass, which are, for those that don't know, applications that essentially allow you to access lots of gyms or lots of training sessions on a sort of session by session basis. And that's like a very common perk now. And what's your thoughts on like how this would compare to that type of solution for a corporate?
So because we're doing B2B, it's not just, okay, here is the app. Hopefully your employees get better. There is also a back office as well. So the HR in the company will be able to see how many of their employees are using it and then be able to measure everything as well. So we have set questions in the app as well regarding the health and well-being of their employees. So like, how are you feeling today? How is your sleep? And it would be, they can monitor the sick days that have been taken as well. So you get to see the return on investment that you've made, that your employees are sick less, they're healthier, they're not taking sick days, which means they're working more and you get better return on investment.
Yeah, they're just happier and healthier, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's really interesting that you've got the back office. Like, I could see that being a real value
Yeah.
proposition because I feel like sometimes with these gym membership that you get as part of your employment, that's almost like a box ticking activity. It feels like
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
whereas this feels like this would actually allow a company to be much more involved in
Yes.
ensuring that their employees are actually taking that benefit and
Yeah.
ultimately, being healthier so that, they can be more successful in their careers as well.
Yeah. So what we want to look at doing as well is adding challenges in as well. So, for companies saying who can do the most amount of steps this month, who can do the most amount of workouts, and there will be a leaderboard as well, which we have. So, doing a 5K, how many people in your office can you get to do a 5K in a month? So it's engaging as well. It's not just, okay, well, it's a boring gym app. It's engaging.
Yeah, I think particularly amongst colleagues, that kind of gamified approach I could imagine
Mm.
working really well. Actually, outside of the podcast, I work in tech recruitment, and I'm working with a gamification company that specialize in building those types of user experiences for their clients.
Yeah,
Before working with them, I didn't really know that much about gamification. And yeah, it's really opened my eyes to, first of all, how much of our experiences in general are gamified, like
yeah,
loyalty programs and those types of things are all those kind of game mechanics, but also just how effective they can be
hmm,
in terms of actually motivating people to do things. And I think having that type of in-app competition with your colleagues, I could imagine actually having quite a
of
lot of
course.
success.
Yeah. Even just taking a picture, who's taken the most pictures of food this month? There's a leaderboard for that, get involved. I take the most pictures of my food. Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's a modern condition. People
Yeah.
taking pictures of their food.
Instagram. How Instagrammable is your meal?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you could have quite a lot of fun with that actually.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you say, it makes it more engaging, less static,
Yeah,
more of a tool that actually unites the company and gets everybody behind a fitness
yeah,
goal or a nutrition goal. And having that kind of support actually can make those types of things way easier. Like if
yeah,
someone isn't naturally into sport, but really notices that they want to, get healthier, lose a little bit of weight, etc., it can feel a lot easier to do that with the support of colleagues and being able to sort of see that in an app as
yeah,
opposed to feeling like you're doing it by yourself.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, and what have been some of the biggest challenges you faced so far in the development of this?
I suppose like any app, there is always just bugs popping up as well. You know, you could think, okay, we are so close that we fix one or two more things, and then something else completely different that was completely fine pops up, and that becomes a problem. So it's being able to juggle it. Luckily, I am not the tech brains in the co-founders. I'm just the pretty face that gets it out. Um, and I just say, okay, there's a problem here or here. So the bugs and the actual development of an app are really challenging.
Yes, yeah, I think particularly if it's kind of your first venture into that as well, like
Yeah,
yeah, it can be painful working with technology for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. It's been
Um,
long evenings and early mornings into that. So
yeah, and I mean, how has it felt compared to being a sportsman? Has there been anything from your professional sports career that you think has helped you in this next venture?
I think resilience has helped me a lot, and just kind of like being able to work through a lot of adversity. It's you do get a lot of setbacks, I think, especially when you keep thinking, okay, this is where it's going to be, it's going to be perfect here, and then it's not. And you know, there are days that get really tough, and then you just kind of take a step back and realize this bigger picture that you are creating a really good app and a good product for people, and then you just kind of step back into it and give it full blast again. Yeah.
You think that that's kind of a skill that you learned from dealing with the pressure of professional sport?
Yeah, I think that's mental toughness from rugby, which we had. You know, it's, I think mentally rugby is probably one of the most demanding games you can play, just because it's so physical, it's so fitness taxing as well. So your body is, you know, under stress for 80 minutes, but it's not like stress you felt before, you know, where you could be feeling like you're about to pass out, but you have to sprint back and tackle someone, otherwise you lose the game.
You were in the forwards, right, when you were playing rugby?
Yeah, I was in the dog show of it all.
Yeah, that is brutal. I mean, I used to play rugby at school and a little bit at university, like at a very low level. But I was in the backs, like I was one of the Nancy
Same.
boys that wasn't really getting involved.
Yeah, I mean, living the best life. We go to training, and the forwards are getting prepared literally just to bash into each other, and the other backs are just kicking the balls to each other. I'm like, what kind of game are we playing? It's
Yeah,
not the same. It's not
yeah,
the same.
absolutely. And I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I did read once that they made a comparison between the impact in a professional rugby game, probably between the bigger guys, is the same amount of force as you would have in a high speed car crash, essentially.
Yeah, sometimes when that wind gets knocked out of you, you don't know if you're going to stand back up, but you do
Yeah.
anyway.
Interesting that some of that experience or some of the things that you learned from that period of your life are now helping you on this next venture, which is something completely different.
Yeah.
And in terms of, so you mentioned that you've got a few beta clients at the moment. Has any of the experience of working with them, receiving feedback from them, shaped your thinking around the future of the product?
There is obviously the feedback that you get of what you can add and what you can maybe make a bit better. So that's quite exciting. I think what we are looking at adding in the future. So once we have this final bit really solid and happy to go out, I think there's some really exciting things that we're going to add. Our goal is not to just make it it's a nice fitness app for people. It's got to be really the top wellness app that's got everything for people.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah.
And anybody listening to this that's interested in kind of following your journey, where's best to do that? How can people sign
Um,
up or even find out more about it?
for Sculptify, you can just go either onto my LinkedIn, it'll be on there, or you can do www.sculptify.fit, and then everything will be on there. There's newsletters that'll go out. We have a ton of blog posts.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll post those links along with this recording
thank
so
you.
that
Yeah.
anybody that's interested can find out more about you or about the company. Um, Let's talk a little bit now about what it's like sort of living and working here. Um, you moved here last year, right? You've been here for about 18 months or so.
Yeah, it was about November 2023. So we say 18 months or so. Yeah.
Okay. And as somebody that's been involved heavily in sports, I mean, how do you view the kind of active side of this city, perhaps compared to other places that you've lived?
I'd say it's probably not on par, even more active than Australia. So Australia, like I said, was super good weather as well year round. But here, I mean, you just walk down to the beach now. It's 10 degrees or 15 degrees, and there's people on the beach. There's people on those on the bars doing pull-ups and working out. Even the gyms, they're fully packed. I don't know how many different gyms I've been into here, and they're all full all the time. So, which is really good because there's just a ton of people working out, which is really good. Like, never have I seen this before. So, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly active city. Like I've
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
felt that. And now you see like there's so many of these run clubs where they're
Mhm.
kind of, the younger generation, they don't go out drinking anymore. They go out for a run.
Running a
And
coffee in the morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the city is full of the like hordes of people
Oh,
running with
yeah.
like electronic music. And as you say, like the beach all year round is full of people playing volleyball, beach tennis,
Always busy.
swimming in the sea. You've got those, yeah, the sort of the pull-up bars where you've got people doing all sorts of like acrobatics off the top of those. Like
Don't
it's
show off.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's always quite intimidating. Like even if I wanted to go to one of those, I never would because
Yeah,
it's
no. I struggle to do my 5 pull-ups just because I'm
like,
so heavy. And then these guys are all doing like pull-ups and weighted pull-ups. I'm like, okay,
and like flips and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I've always thought it as being like a very active city. Even like the large events, right? Like I was reading that the half marathon here that's normally in February is the largest in Spain, but also the second largest running event in Europe for half marathons. So, it's getting, I think there were 30,000 people that ran it this year. Like it's really popular event. And how do you think that kind of strong fitness culture is shaping your vision for Sculptify?
I just think, there's a lot of people that are active and busy, but there's a lot of people that are also too afraid to start as well. So sometimes even being able to afford a personal trainer is very expensive. So why should that luxury be unaffordable? So that's why we designed Sculptify as well to be able to be affordable. And, it's not just for beginners, it's for advanced and intermediates, people who just want to be a little bit more dialed in with their diet, people who would like to just have a better education when it comes to something like that. So with such a busy population, it's just the perfect spot.
I think the nutrition side of things is for me personally like a really interesting aspect because I've used different types of fitness apps in the past for getting in shape. When I'm in that phase where I'm like, okay, now it's time to lose a bit of weight or get fit, like the sport aspect of that personally for me is something that I enjoy, and I don't struggle too much with like getting into the rhythm of doing that. The part that is really difficult for me is the nutrition. That's where I feel like I have no idea really what I'm doing. Like you hear so much conflicting advice as well. Like every week it feels like, oh, last week it was saying that I should be eating this, and now they're saying that that's gives you cancer. Okay, what like
There's
what should
literally
I be
so many
eating?
things. Each year or each month, there is something that's so conflicting, and literally it could be on the exact same thing on how many studies come out and this is good for you, but the next month, like you say, it will give you cancer or something like this. There's always something that'll conflict someone else's study, and it's just, what do you actually follow?
Yeah. And I mean, so if there's somebody listening to this that, they're just thinking like, I really want to get in better shape, and maybe they're just starting out, what would you recommend is like the kind of the first thing that they should be thinking about?
For me, I always tell everybody, start walking. That is the easiest thing that you do. It gets you just going. What the best thing is that that's obviously where most people And let's be honest, most people that want to start working out will always want to burn more fat. Walking is the best kind of fat burner that you can do every day. So pay attention to what you eat as well. Make sure you're not eating, 7 meals a day full of, you know, pasta and carbs. Make sure you have a good amount of protein, walk a lot in the day, and then start looking at going to a gym or even going to the outside gyms to do some body weight stuff. Anything that you can do for an extra little bit of activity in the day will make you already better than what you were last week. Keep it simple and just enjoy it as well. Do activities you'll enjoy.
Something you can stay consistent with, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And what's your favorite way to stay active in the city at the moment? Do you have any sort of favorite spots that you like to go to get outdoors and be active?
I mean, we walk the city flat every day, every weekend. I do close to 15,000 steps, I think. So it's just we love to go to the beach as well. We've now discovered the beach. I don't know if I'm going to say it correctly, but it's Kastefels.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
we got there and it's perfect. It's not as busy. It's so easy to get there and you can go and swim and it's perfect. So I'm always in the water as well. I love water. So so close to any kind of beach is just great.
Yeah, and yeah, I like getting out of the city to the beaches that are nearby. Like I think Castel de Fels is a really nice one. Like
Yeah,
Gava,
it's
which
really
is
nice.
also on that kind of stretch, is nice because they're both
Mm.
natural beaches.
Yes.
And then yeah, you can go the other way, like up towards the Costa Brava,
Yes.
and you can get a part of the way by train. Like I think the furthest you can get there is a beach called San Pol, which is
Mm.
also really nice. But
Okay.
then if you ever have access to a car, like driving up to the little calas, like the bays that you have in the Costa Brava, are just amazing.
Yeah. I think that's one of our next steps as well to go up to Costa Brava.
Oh yeah, it's lovely. Like honestly, when you're up there, and if you go, there's like a camino up there, like a walk along all the
Mhm.
cliffs that you could actually walk all the way through France on that camino.
Wow.
But yeah, it starts well. You can pick it up in the Costa Brava. When you're walking along some of those cliff tops and you look down at the ocean, and it's honestly like something out of a postcard. Like it is
Okay. That's definitely
absolutely
where we'll go next time.
stunning. And yeah, that and so talking about sort of finding something nice to do that's motivating, like any type of like walk like that, I absolutely love.
Oh yeah. It's just for the soul, it's good.
Yeah, and there's a ton of that here in
Yeah.
Catalonia, which I think
Yeah.
is one of the things mentioned in other podcasts of this as well. Um, and in terms of living in the city, what's your favorite neighborhood? Do you have any favorite spots that you like to go to?
Um, Anywhere that has a good cheap mojito, always the best.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we enjoy kind of finding nice cocktail spots as well, just because it's different and fun, and there's so many different each, you know, place or we'll say little suburb of its own here in Barcelona has got something unique to it as well. So there's so many different things you can find in each place. So we literally have been here for a year, and I don't even think we've scratched the surface of anything here, which is
Okay.
amazing.
Well, I've been here 8 years and I'm still discovering stuff. So,
Exactly.
you've got some runway.
Yeah.
And what about, I mean, one of the things I'm doing on this podcast is sort of pulling together a curated list of recommendations from the guests. Do you have like a favorite spot, like a favorite restaurant or bar?
Sure. A favorite spot. There is one that does really, really great mojitos, but I forgot what the name is, and I forgot to look it up again. It's actually in Elborn, and they
Okay.
have like 5 or 6 different mojitos at happy hour as well. It's like €4.50, I think,
Okay.
and it was the best I've had. I need to find it again, sorry, and then
Okay.
I'll tell you.
You can send it to me afterwards, and I'll post your favorite mojito spot along
Yeah.
with the recording of this. If you weren't building Sculptify, is there anything else that you would love to be doing?
I would probably look at going into coaching, say more rugby coaching, look at coaching a high level of rugby I'd like to do.
Okay.
I think with all the years that I've been in and around top coaches, I can use a lot of my experience, and I think I'll be able to put that into good use.
Cool. Oh,
Or
well,
I'd like to sing, but I'm terrible at singing, so that's definitely not going to be it.
Okay, so yeah, maybe sticking to what you know, and going back to the world of rugby. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you'd have the opportunity to do that here. As we were
Yeah.
saying, there is a bit of popularity here. It is growing, and I'm sure your experience, with some of the local rugby clubs would be really valuable.
Yeah. So I'll definitely jump at that as well, given the opportunity.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, Dylan, thank you so much for joining me today. As we mentioned, people can follow you either on LinkedIn or see the Sculptify website, which I'll be posting along with this. And that's it for today's episode of Built in Barcelona. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to share it with anybody that might be interested in Barcelona, the fitness scene here, or just on entrepreneurship in general. Also, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more conversations with people building the future of this city. Until then, take care. And Dylan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.